He dared to come here? What a shameless man. The voice cut through the air behind me, cold and sharp like a blade. I stood still. My fists clenched so tight, my nails dug into my palms. In front of me was a dark wooden coffin. Sophia was lying there, peaceful, as if she'd never spent years fighting that cruel disease. Sophia, the only woman who ever chose me over the world, the one who gave up everything, her privilege, her comforts, just to live a simple life with a man like me. But now she's gone, and her family. They're standing there, glaring at me like I came here to take her money. Someone like him, he doesn't deserve to be here. Sophia was fooled her whole life. Even in death, she lets him show his face. I heard every word, each one cut deep, like knives, twisting in the memories of Sophia, the woman who once cried because her own family despised her for loving me. I drew a deep breath. Not today, I told myself. This isn't the day to fight back. But then, I told you, didn't I? He only married her for her money. Just wait, he won't leave here empty-handed. I turned my head. My eyes locked on the man who said it. That stare alone shut him up. But the room still buzzed with venomous whispers. I knew. One word from me. That's all it would take to set this room on fire. But Sophia was lying there. This was my last chance to say goodbye. I couldn't let it end in chaos. They don't know. They never knew I didn't want Sophia's money. And they have no idea what she did. Quietly, before she left this world. Just a few more hours. When the lawyer reads her will, every single face filled with contempt will freeze in shock. And then they'll realize how wrong they've been. My name is Daniel, 30 years old. Just a regular mechanic working in a small garage on the edge of the city. Life has never been easy for me. I grew up with my mother, a frail woman who worked double shifts as a waitress just to keep me in school. I still remember those nights she came home late, hands trembling from the cold, yet forcing a smile when she saw me waiting for dinner. Be kind, Daniel. No matter what happens, don't let your heart turn cold. Those were her last words before she left me, alone in a rented room with nothing but my calloused hands. Have you ever wondered, if you lost every pillar in your life, would you still have the faith to love someone? At 25, I met Sophia. That day, the garage took in a gleaming white sports car, the kind of car I'd never even dreamed of touching. As I crouched down to check under the chassis, a soft voice spoke above me. Have you been working here long? Startled, I looked up, and met Sophia's warm brown eyes. My hands were greasy and dirty. Instinctively, I hid them behind my back. I didn't want her to see how rough they were, and walk away like so many others had before. 6 years now, I'm not good at anything except fixing cars. Sophia smiled, a gentle smile that caught me off guard. We ran into each other a few more times. Every meeting felt like pure coincidence. Or so I thought. Until the day she admitted, I did it on purpose. I wanted to see if you were the kind of man who only cares about my money. I laughed. It felt strange. So strange I barely recognized the sound of my own voice. Sophia laughed too, her eyes sparkling like sunlight breaking through after the rain. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to prove my worth to anyone. Our love grew. Sophia didn't care that I was poor. She didn't care that I had nothing but these 2 hands. But her family, they felt differently. The day Sophia took me home to meet them, her father's eyes scanned me for barely 2 seconds before he turned away, as if I didn't exist. Her mother smiled faintly and asked a question that seemed harmless, yet cut deep like a blade. How do you plan to take care of my daughter? On a mechanic's salary. I took a deep breath, swallowing the words that rose in my throat. Not because I didn't have an answer, but because I knew. To them, no answer I gave would ever matter. That night, Sophia sobbed in my arms. She trembled as she whispered, I'm sorry for my family, but if I have to choose between them and you, I'll choose you. I held her tighter, hiding the tears burning at the corner of my eyes. You don't have to choose, Sophia. Just don't leave me. Sophia walked away from it all, the mansion with its glowing pool, the glittering parties, the designer dresses, to live with me in a cramped apartment where the kitchen didn't even have a fridge yet. The day she set her suitcase down on that creaky wooden floor, I made a vow to myself. I will make her happy, even if the whole world stands against us. At Chao, the first few months, our life was strangely peaceful. Sophia woke up early to make breakfast in our tiny kitchen, where faint sunlight streamed through an old window and fell onto the cracked wooden floor. She loved hearing me tinker under the cars, out in the garage. Sometimes she'd bring me coffee and teas. Think of it as payment for all those free repairs. I'd watch her delicate hands set the mug down on a chipped wooden table, and wonder silently, how could someone like her choose to stay here, with me? But I never dared to say it out loud. I was afraid if I spoke, this fragile happiness would vanish like smoke. One night, Sophia started coughing violently, doubling over on the floor. I rushed to her side in panic, but she waved me off with a faint smile. "It's just the weather. I'm fine." But I wasn't fine. From that day, I began watching her more closely. She was losing weight. Her skin had turned pale, her once bright eyes now clouded with exhaustion. Every time I asked, she brushed it off. "I'm just a little tired. Don't worry so much." That night, after she fell asleep, I sat there staring at her for a long time. I ran my hand gently through her soft hair and thought, if I lose Sophia this time, I'll have nothing left. The day she collapsed at the corner grocery store, I carried her in my arms and ran to the hospital. My heart pounded so hard it felt like my chest would burst. The doctor looked at me, his voice grave. "She's in stage 3 lung cancer." I froze. My legs went weak. The sound of my heartbeat roared in my ears, drowning out his words. How could Sophia? When I looked up, Sophia's brown eyes were brimming with tears. "I'm sorry. I didn't want to tell you. I was afraid you'd leave me." It felt like someone had their hands wrapped tight around my heart, crushing it. I held her hand, my voice breaking. "You fool. If I was going to leave, I would have left long ago." News of Sophia's illness reached her family. They showed up at the hospital in their perfectly pressed suits, eyes filled with concern. But I could still see that flicker of disdain toward me. Her mother held Sophia's hand and said, "You need to come home. We have better doctors. Staying with him, you won't survive." Her father looked straight at me, his voice cold as ice. "Do you really think you can save her on a mechanic's pathetic salary? Don't drag her down with you." I stood there, fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. The anger surged, but I swallowed it down and said slowly, "I'm not rich, but I can stay awake every night to watch over her. I can work myself to the bone to pay for her medicine. I'm not leaving Sophia." Sophia squeezed my hand, her voice weak but firm. "I'm not going anywhere. Daniel is the only family I have." The room fell silent, but I knew. Her words would only make them despise me more. And deep inside, one question echoed. Am I strong enough to keep her, all the way to the end? From the day Sophia was admitted, I never left her side. Not for a single moment. Those days felt endless. The stench of antiseptic clung to my clothes. My rough, calloused hands gripped hers tight, as if letting go for even 1 second would mean losing her forever. "I'm sorry. God, if only I could take her pain away," I whispered. I didn't even know if I was speaking to Sophia, to God, or just to drown out the screaming silence inside me. The hospital bills kept piling up. 6 years of savings, gone in just 2 months of chemo. I sold my car, sold the garage, my one lifelong dream. And still, it was barely enough to buy her a few more rounds of treatment. Every time I signed another bill, my hands shook. I kept waiting for the day a nurse would pull me aside and say, "I'm sorry, you can't pay anymore." Sophia's parents came often, but every visit felt like a storm waiting to hit. One afternoon, while Sophia slept, her mother cornered me in the hallway. Her voice cut like glass. "You've dragged her into this hell. If she'd stayed with her family, she would have had better care long ago." I clenched my fists so tight, my nails broke the skin. Blood trickled down my palms, but I kept my voice steady. "I've done everything I possibly can. Sophia chose me. I never forced her. Chose. A girl blinded by love doesn't know what she's choosing. You think you deserve her? Her words hit like a hammer to my chest. That night, after Sophia fell asleep, I locked myself in the hospital bathroom. The flickering fluorescent light hummed overhead. Water dripped from a rusty tap. I collapsed onto the cold tile floor, hands covering my face. Maybe they're right. Maybe I was never enough for Sophia. Maybe she's dying because she chose me. Hot tears burned my skin as they fell. For the first time in years, I wept like a child. But deep in my gut, a voice whispered, "The real nightmare hasn't even begun." 2 weeks later, they rushed Sophia into the ICU. Her lungs had failed. I stood outside the emergency room, staring at the red light above the door, as my insides shattered. Sophia's father roared down the hallway, his voice shaking the walls. "Look at her! Look what you've done! I told you to let her come home. But no, you had to be stubborn. You're nothing but a useless mechanic." People turned to stare. I said nothing. My fists clenched so tight, my knuckles cracked. But inside, a single thought screamed, if I lose Sophia, what meaning is left in this world? The red light above the ICU flickered off. The doctor stepped out, his face heavy, his voice low. "We tried everything, but she's hanging on by a thread." And in that moment, my entire world collapsed. I walked toward her hospital bed. Each step felt heavier, like my legs were chained to blocks of stone. Sophia lay there, her skin pale as snow, lips cracked and dry, her breathing so faint I had to lean in, straining to catch even a whisper of life. I sat down, took her fragile hand in mine, and whispered, "Don't leave me. I haven't done enough to deserve you yet." She gave me a faint smile. Her voice, barely a thread, floated into the air. "You've always deserved me. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." I held her tighter, terrified at the cold creeping into her fingers. Outside the room, her mother's voice sliced through the air, sharp and furious. "We're taking her home. He can't care for Sophia. Every second she stays here is killing her." I stepped into the hall, meeting her glare head on. "You're right. I'm not rich. But Sophia chose to stay here. Because she trusts me. Don't use that trust to cover up how little you cared for her before." Her father stormed forward, his finger jabbing inches from my face, his voice like steel. "You think your cheap, pitiful love will save her. Money. Only money can keep Sophia alive. Stop clinging to her like a coward." His words hit me like a fist to the gut. I drew a deep breath, forcing my hands to stop trembling. That night, I sat in the corner of the waiting room, my head buried in my hands. Their voices echoed in my skull. "Don't drag her down with you. You're nothing. Worthless." Maybe they're right. Who am I to think I can hold on to Sophia? Maybe she's dying because she chose me. My breath came fast, ragged. My chest ached as if a vice was crushing it. But if I let them take her, am I still the man she believed in? Or just another coward, running away? I wanted to scream. I wanted to punch the walls. I wanted to beg God to trade my life for hers. But all I could do was sit there, paralyzed. The next morning, Sophia's mother arrived with her lawyer. She slammed a stack of papers onto the table in front of me. "Sign it. We'll take care of Sophia. You're done here." I grabbed the pen. My hand shook violently. Ink bled onto the page like a spreading bloodstain. If I sign, am I still the man Sophia believed in? But if I don't, am I selfishly chaining her to my pride? Each question stabbed deeper than the last. I looked at Sophia. Her brown eyes fluttered open, weak, but in them, a spark of the woman I fell in love with still burned. "Don't let them tear us apart, please." Her voice was fragile, no stronger than a thread, but it pulled me back from the edge of despair. I dropped the pen. I looked straight at her mother and said, firm and cold, "I'm not signing. If Sophia wants to leave, she'll tell me herself." I turned away, my heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. I just gambled Sophia's life, on the strength of our love. Back in the room, Sophia's hand moved weakly, searching for mine. I clasped it tight, whispered through gritted teeth, "I don't know what comes next, but I'm not letting go of you, Sophia." Across the room, her family's eyes stabbed into me like knives. And deep down, I knew the real storm hadn't even started. Since the day I refused to sign those papers, the air in the hospital had turned heavy, like a thunderstorm waiting to break. Sophia's family barely looked at me as if I were human. Every step they took down the hallway carried a weight of contempt, as if I was the only reason their daughter lay here, frail and struggling to breathe. One afternoon, as I was gently wiping Sophia's face, her mother walked in. She stood silently in the corner, her voice low but cold as ice. "Can't you see how thin she's gotten? You're killing her, one day at a time." I looked up, my voice hoarse from too many sleepless nights. "I'm not perfect, but I've never left Sophia's side. Not for a single minute." She let out a sharp, bitter laugh, her eyes like knives. "You call this love? This cheap, pathetic love that's left her lying here, waiting to die?" That night, I sat slumped on a plastic chair outside her room. The heart monitor beeped steadily through the door, but inside me, my own heartbeat was chaotic, jagged, and aching. Maybe they're right. Maybe this love of mine isn't enough to keep Sophia alive. I buried my face in my calloused hands. Hot tears slipped between my fingers. "Sophia, what do I do now? Am I selfish for holding on, keeping you here with me?" A memory flashed in my mind. Sophia, smiling in our cramped little apartment, once said, "Don't doubt yourself." To me, that tiny home, it was heaven. But now, that heaven felt so fragile, as if a single breeze could blow it all away. The next day, as I came back with porridge, a nurse gently pulled me aside. Her family spoke to the doctor privately. They said they'll sign the transfer papers the moment you leave. My throat went dry. I clenched my fists so hard my knuckles turned white. They would do this behind my back? The following morning, Sophia's father showed up with two men in black suits. He stood tall, his eyes looking down at me like I was dirt under his shoes. "You've made enough mistakes. Don't make her suffer anymore." He dropped a thick file in front of me. "This is a court order. If you don't sign, we'll force you out." I picked up the papers. My hands trembled violently. The promise to cover all medical bills wrapped around my heart like chains, tightening with every breath. Suddenly, I shot to my feet. My voice cracked, loud and sharp like glass shattering on tile. "Enough! You don't get to talk about my love for Sophia. Where were you when she needed you the most? Don't you dare come here now and preach about what's right." Her father froze. Her mother's eyes burned holes into me. But I didn't care. Not this time. I knew this was it. This was the moment I had to fight, or lose everything. When they left, my phone buzzed. A message from Sophia's family lawyer. "Tonight, we're moving Sophia. This is your last chance to agree." I stared at the text until my vision blurred with tears. A voice roared in my head. "If I don't do something tonight, I'll lose Sophia forever." I walked into the hallway, slammed my fist into the wall so hard blood streaked the white paint. As the crimson spread across my knuckles, I whispered, "They can take everything from me, but our love, they will never have." The message from Sophia's family lawyer was still glowing on my phone screen. "Tonight, we're moving Sophia. This is your last chance to agree." I gripped the phone so tight my knuckles cracked. A chill ran down my spine. They would dare do this behind my back? I burst into the on-call doctor's office, my voice breaking. "Doctor, please, please protect Sophia. She doesn't want to leave this hospital." The older doctor sighed, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. "Daniel, her family has the legal right. We can't stop them if the court has ruled." I slammed my fist onto the desk. "They don't love her like I do. I've been here day and night, every single second." "I know. But the law doesn't run on feelings, Daniel." I stumbled back to her room, closed the door, and slid down onto the cold floor, my back pressed against it. Maybe I should let go. At least they can save her. Tears fell onto the tile, hot but meaningless. Sophia, I'm sorry. I'm so weak. A memory flickered. Her smile, soft and warm, back in our little apartment. Her voice echoing in my head. Don't ever leave me alone. I clenched my fist tight. No, not this time. I won't let you fight alone. Voices outside pulled me to my feet. Through the crack in the door, I saw her parents whispering to two men in black suits. A stretcher, rolling silently toward her room. They're taking her. Tonight. My heart pounded. My blood boiled. I burst out of the room and stood in front of the door. Stop! You're not taking her! Sophia's father looked at me, his eyes cold and unflinching. What choice do you have? You can't care for her. We've already lost enough. Her mother broke into tears. I don't care who's right or wrong anymore. I just want my daughter to live. Please, Daniel, I shouted, my voice cracking like glass shattering. Where were you? When she was in her darkest pain? When Sophia gave up her whole world to be with me? I was the one beside her. Every minute. Every second. You want to take her? Then you'll have to go through me first. One of the bodyguards stepped forward, but Sophia's father raised his hand to stop him. His eyes narrowed as he spoke, his voice low and heavy. You're willing to defy this family. For that love? I tightened my fists, so hard blood seeped through my fingers. Not for love. For Sophia. The sound of an ambulance siren wailed outside the hospital gates. I knew. If they took her tonight, it would be over. I lowered my voice, each word cutting like a blade. If I let her go, I'll lose her forever. I stood firm, blocking the door, my heart pounding like a drum of war, my eyes locked on Sophia's family like sharpened steel. You can take everything from me, but our love, you will never have it. The hospital room was silent. So silent it felt like the air itself was choking me. I stood in front of the door, blocking the footsteps closing in. You're not taking her. Not unless you step over my dead body. Sophia's father stared at me, his eyes cold as steel. The bodyguard behind him clenched his fists. But then her mother's voice broke the tension. It was trembling, pleading. Daniel, please, I'm begging you. She's slipping away. Let us save her. Her words cut through me like a blade. I turned to look at Sophia. She lay still, her breath shallow. IV lines draped across her fragile arm like chains. I've done everything I could, but if I keep her here, am I the one killing her? My fist tightened until blood seeped from the cracks in my skin. My legs shook. The room spun around me. Then Sophia's private doctor stepped forward, his voice low and heavy. Daniel, there's something you need to know. I whipped around, my eyes sharp as a knife. What is it? He handed me an envelope, his voice hoarse. Sophia asked me to give you this. If this day ever came. I tore it open. The words blurred through my tears. My love. I know this will hurt, but I don't want you to see me fading away. I want you to remember me as I was, radiant, strong, and loving you with every last breath. Don't hold on to me out of fear. Please, Daniel, live on. I stumbled back, my shoulders shaking. The hospital room swirled before my eyes. Sophia, did you choose to leave me? Or are you trying to protect me from this pain? Tears hit the cold, white tiles below me. You're asking me to let go. But how can I? The sound of an ambulance siren pierced the night air outside. A cold breeze slipped through the door crack, carrying with it the heavy footsteps of the bodyguards drawing closer. If I truly love her, should I let her go? I placed my hand on the door. My heart thudded wildly in my chest. Inside, Sophia lay there, silent, like an angel in deep sleep. I love you. Enough to let you go, if that's what you want. Slowly, I opened the door and stepped aside, leaving the path clear for Sophia's family to enter. The hospital door creaked open. The sound of the hinge was dry and haunting. I stepped aside in silence, letting Sophia's parents walk in. Her mother rushed to the bed, clutching her daughter's frail hand, sobbing uncontrollably. My baby, please come home. Let us take care of you." Sophia's brows furrowed slightly. Her eyelashes trembled faintly, but she didn't wake. I stood in the corner of the room. My heart felt like it was being crushed in a giant fist, every beat sharp and painful. I lowered my head, staring at my calloused hands, the hands that once promised to protect Sophia for a lifetime. "I'm sorry. I wasn't strong enough to keep you here." A voice inside me screamed, "Take her back! Don't let them take Sophia away!" I stepped forward. My hand reached out, ready to pull the stretcher back. But then, Sophia's lips moved, barely a whisper. "Let me go." I froze. My hand fell limp to my side. My heart shattered into pieces. Her mother collapsed to her knees, crying out, "Please, I don't care who's right or wrong anymore. I just want my daughter to be safe. Don't let her die full of regret." Sophia's father lowered his head, his voice hoarse and heavy. "I know you love her, but sometimes love has to learn how to let go." Their words pierced me like 1,000 needles. The stretcher began to roll slowly. The sound of its wheels scraping against the tile echoed like a haunting refrain. I followed behind. Each step felt like walking barefoot on sharp stones. With every step, my heart cracked a little more. "I'm sorry for not being the place you wanted to stay until the end." At the hospital doors, the ambulance lights blinded me, cold and unfeeling. Before they loaded her onto the truck, I bent down and pressed my lips to her cold forehead. "I'll never forget you, and I pray, if there's a next life, I'll find you again, to love you better." Sophia didn't answer. Only the faint hum of the ventilator remained, until it faded into the wail of the ambulance siren. The doors slammed shut. The sound echoed like a final period at the end of everything. I stood there, hands limp at my sides, eyes fixed on the emptiness where the ambulance had been. "Sophia, you took my heart with you." A cold breeze swept through the hallway, carrying the lingering scent of antiseptic from my clothes. Maybe real love isn't about holding on. It's about knowing when to let go. I left the hospital just as the sun broke the horizon. The pale morning light did little to chase away the cold in my chest. She's gone, and she took my whole heart with her. 3 days after Sophia left, our little apartment was drowning in suffocating silence. Her coffee cup still sat by the sink, a faint lipstick stain on its rim. Her beige sweater, the one she always wore when it got cold, still hung over the sofa, carrying a trace of her soft perfume. I sat there, in the dim light, watching my hollow face reflected in the darkened window. You're not here anymore, but your shadow lingers in every breath I take. That night, and the ones after, I couldn't sleep. My mind played like an endless reel, flashing back to every moment. The first time Sophia laughed when I clumsily tried to cook dinner. Those rainy nights, the two of us holding each other tight in that cramped little apartment, listening to the storm outside. And her eyes, that last night in the hospital, so deep, so tired, yet still tender enough to break my heart. I miss you, Sophia. So much it feels like I can't breathe. That evening, my phone buzzed. A message from the doctor. "Sophia left you a voice note, if you're ready to hear it." My hands trembled as I hit play. Sophia's voice came through, soft, weak, but still as gentle as the day we met. "My love, if you're hearing this, it means I didn't get to say goodbye in person. Don't be sad. I just didn't want you to watch me fade away. I want you to remember me, radiant, strong, loving you with every last breath. Please, live on. Don't let our love become a burden." I gripped the phone tight, tears spilling uncontrollably. "Sophia, I promised to protect you. Why did you choose to leave me alone?" In my mind, I saw myself that night, ripping the stretcher back, fighting the world to keep her. But in that vision, Sophia looked at me, her eyes brimming with tears, whispering, "You could win against the whole world, but I'd hate you for not listening to me." I collapsed to the floor, clutching the phone as if it could hold my shattered heart together. I didn't let you go because I was weak. I let you go because I loved you too much to keep you here in pain. The next day, A strange message appeared on my phone. Sophia wanted you to keep the bracelet she always wore. I went to the hospital. Her father was waiting at the gate, his face more hollow than I'd ever seen. He handed me a small box, his voice deep and heavy. She hasn't woken up. But she said, if anything happens, this is the one thing she wanted you to have. As I took the box, a sharp pain twisted through my chest. He looked me in the eyes and spoke softly. You know, when it's real love, sometimes the strongest man isn't the one who holds on, but the one who dares to let go. Back at home, I opened the box. Inside lay a delicate silver bracelet, its faint glint catching the last of the dying light. I slid it onto my wrist and whispered, Sophia, I'll carry you with me until my heart stops beating. Outside, the rain poured harder. I sat in the darkness, the cold silver pressing against my skin, my chest hollow and aching. Maybe loving someone sometimes means accepting you'll lose them. The next day, I went back to the park where Sophia used to take her evening walks. The trees stood bare in the heart of winter, their branches stripped clean. Cold wind swept past the old stone benches, whistling softly like an echo of memories. I sat down and gently touched the silver bracelet on my wrist. The metal was cold, but it felt as if Sophia's warmth still lingered there. You once said, everything has an ending. But why can't I end this longing for you, Sophia? That night, I began tidying up the apartment. Every little thing whispered her name. The book she never finished, the pair of small shoes still sitting by the door. I didn't throw anything away. I don't want to erase you from my life, but I'll learn to live with the memories. As I folded her favorite beige sweater, a small piece of paper slipped from the pocket. The familiar handwriting made my chest tighten. If one day I'm no longer by your side, promise me you'll take care of yourself. I love you. And I've always believed you'll find the sun again after the rain. I let out a soft laugh, but the tears came anyway. One afternoon, I wandered into a little second-hand bookstore on a quiet street. The owner, an old man with silver hair, greeted me with a gentle smile. You carry a heavy sadness, young man. But do you know? No one is ever truly gone, as long as we remember them with love. His words echoed in my mind like a bell ringing on a still afternoon. That night, I stood by the window. The night breeze slipped through the curtains, brushing against my face. I unclasped the silver bracelet, held it in my hand for a long moment. Sophia, you'll always be here. I placed the bracelet in a small wooden box, closed it carefully, and tucked it away in a drawer. Not to forget her, but to stop my heart from bleeding every time I touched it. The next morning, I stepped out of the apartment and took a deep breath of the biting cold air. The winter sunlight was faint, but for the first time in weeks, it didn't feel so far away. A little girl ran past, clutching a small bouquet of flowers. The scent drifted through the air, and for the first time in a long time, I smiled. Sophia, can you see this? I'm still here, and I'll be okay. You took my heart with you, but with what's left, I'll learn to live for myself. I walked down the quiet street, my footsteps echoing softly. The ache was still there, but instead of holding on, I let it flow with every breath. Loving someone doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes it means letting them live on in the best parts of you. Time passed. Slowly, gently, softer than I ever thought it could. I kept the same old habits, waking up to the smell of coffee, opening the window for the morning breeze, scribbling a few lines in my journal before stepping outside. But now, when I look into the steaming coffee cup, I no longer see Sophia's eyes reflected there. Or, at least I tell myself that. You were here, and the part of you you left in me will live on forever. One afternoon, I returned to the park Sophia used to love. On the old stone bench, an elderly man sat feeding the birds. I sat down beside him, letting out a quiet sigh. He glanced at me with a gentle smile. You have sad eyes, son, but that sadness, it's softening now. I nodded faintly. I used to think I'd never make it through. But one day, I realized she wouldn't want me stuck in the pain forever. The old man's gaze drifted far off as he murmured, "That's right. Those who leave us, they only find peace when they know the ones left behind have learned how to live on." That night, I sat by the window, the golden glow of the lamp filling my little room. I flipped through the pages of my journal, each one packed with memories of Sophia, the first time we met in a noisy cafe, the night she cried into my shoulder after a long, exhausting day, the moment she held my hand in our cramped apartment and whispered, "You're my home." My chest tightened, but the ache wasn't as sharp anymore. I took out the silver bracelet from its wooden box, watching it glimmer softly in the lamplight. I won't wear it anymore, but it'll stay here, alongside all the memories of you. I set the bracelet back in the box, closing the lid with care. Outside, a night breeze drifted through the window, carrying the faint scent of spring flowers. I turned off the light, ready to sleep. But in the dark, a faint sound reached me from the living room. Soft footsteps, like Sophia's bare feet on the old wooden floorboards. I shut my eyes tight, whispering to myself, "It's just my imagination." But deep down, a quiet voice asked, if Sophia woke up, would she find her way back to me, or would she choose a different path? And you, what would you do? Would you hold on at any cost, or let them go in peace? The next morning, I walked down a sunlit street, a spring breeze brushing gently against my cheek. The ache was still there, but instead of clinging to it, I let it flow with every breath. Some people pass through our lives just to teach us how to love and how to let go. But sometimes, I wonder if that love ever truly ends.